News, red hot. There it is. Main Street. I'll probably quick. Do you want me to do the census before?
Sure.
Okay. Do city manager updates, census.
Do you want me to hit on new businesses downtown?
Yeah,
or,
dude.
Okay.
Stage is yours.
Okay.
What I find is that the crowd that watches the press conference tends to be a different crowd than the city council. Yeah, so the city council people tend to also watch the press conference, but the press conference then also hits just a different, then we can. Hello and welcome to the August Mayor's Press Conference. Wanted to update you all on some city business items, our city manager search, and we have a special guest today, Nancy Naeve from Main Street. There's a lot of great things happening downtown, and so talked to Nancy earlier and said, hey, would you like to come on the press conference and give the folks an update about what's happening downtown? And
I said, heck yeah.
As always, Nancy's ready to give you all an update and talk about the great things that are happening down there. So just a couple housekeeping items before we kick it over to Nancy. Our city manager search update. At this time, we were hoping to have a new city manager, but it just wasn't in the cards as far as health-wise for 2 of the 3 candidates, and we just felt that with 66% of the candidates not being able to attend on the scheduled meeting, we moved it, and we don't have a final date yet, but we're shooting for either the end of September or the very early part of October to conduct those interviews as scheduled before we release the format and things of that nature. And the candidates we've all been in touch with, they all understand, they're all supportive of each other, they all want to make sure everyone's healthy and we have a good process. And so stay tuned. Hopefully next week or the week after at the very latest we'll have an update on when those city manager interviews will occur. Wanted to touch real briefly on the census numbers that came back. It's one of the most popular questions that I think we get as elected officials. How's our population doing? How are we performing? Are we growing? What's the status? So I'll talk a little bit about Spencer in relationship to the county, and then we'll dive into the ethnicity demographics within the city limits. So the county actually lost population. So the Clay County lost a net of 283 people and 1.7%. That's not out of line with the counties around us. Dickinson County did see an increase, BV did see an increase, but the surrounding counties around us also saw decreases. Within the county, the city of Spencer was the only incorporated community to actually gain residents. We gained 92, and when I say gain, the relationship is 2010 numbers to 2020 numbers, so we're talking about the last 10 years. So we increased 92 residents, which is just under 1%. We went from, in 2010, 11,000 233 people to 11,325 people. When you look at that in the perspective of the county, our gain actually within the county, if you exclude Spencer, Clay County was down 375 people. I only bring that up in relationship to all of these numbers impact our pull factors, how many people come through town within the region, how many people are there to support workforce as well as businesses. And so just wanted to let you know that Spencer as a community and the newspaper and radio both did a great job covering the census results. These are indicators that our community is healthy and strong. We continue to build houses, we build businesses, we renovate buildings when they come open, and we gain in population, and that's a good mark, especially in relationship to the region. So within Spencer, if you look at the demographics, and I'm just going to read you the terminology that was published. So the white population in Spencer lost 3.6%. So in 2010, we were 10,779. In 2020, we are 10,387. The minority populations increased 106%. So they went from a total of 454, if you exclude what they call the white population in 2010, up to 938 in 2020. And so we'll just run through those real quick. From a percentage standpoint, the black population went from 60 to 86, which is a 43% increase. American Indian from 32 to 45 went up 40%. Asian American from 78 to 96, which is a 23% increase. Pacific Islander from 1 to 6, that's a 500% increase. Other, and these were checked by the individuals who filled the census out. Other went from 151 to 224, so a 48.3% increase, and 2 or more ethnicities from 132 to 481, which is a 264% increase, and Hispanic or Latino from 3, help if I turn my mic on. Did you get the rest of that, Karen? Is it on? Okay, Nancy was picking it up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Hispanic or Latino numbers were 390 in 2010 and 566 in 2020. So again, that's a 106% increase overall. So a lot of times I'm asked if we're a diverse community, and I think the numbers clearly indicate that over the last 10 years, our growth has come through the diversity of our community. So thank you to everyone who has chosen Spencer as the community and place to reside in. We appreciate that. City business. Before I do that, I'm going to kick it over to Nancy from Main Street. Okay. A city note before Main Street, one thing that we're really excited about, and Alec talked about this a couple of council meetings ago, we're going to do a downtown residential survey, so specifically related to the second stories of buildings. How many spaces are occupied, unoccupied, ready to rent, unoccupied, needing renovation, and we're going to come up with a program based on that data to help encourage renovation downtown to increase the number of people living downtown, which is one small component of our beautiful downtown Main Street district. And we couldn't have a vibrant district, I don't believe, and I say this as a past president of the Main Street organization as a volunteer, the Main Street company in town is so incredibly important, and especially the directors that we have. And the director currently is Naeve. We just talked a little bit ago, 5 years already.
5 years.
5 years, and if you've ever been to an event, you understand what a great event it is, how thoughtful it's planned, and the participation of the volunteers is incredible. And so with that, I'll kick it over to Nancy to give everyone a little bit of update about what's happening downtown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We couldn't do what we do without the partnership and the support of the city, and I say that wholeheartedly. We just got done with Main Street Market, which is actually a space event, Spencer Alliance for a Creative Economy, but Main Street is a big part of that, and we rely on the city and the county. We do it in front of the courthouse. You all provide garbage service for us, and the picnic tables, and the orange cones to block off traffic, and we just got done with the ice cream social as well, and we rely on the city to be able to shut off West 5th Street and the picnic tables and the garbage service and the barricades and all that. And so I just want to say thank you to the city. Not all communities in the Main Street, Iowa family have the cooperation and the support like Spencer does. Main Street, Iowa downtown development specialist Carol Lilly spent all day basically in Spencer yesterday. They're called partnership visits, and she basically came to talk to all of our committee members. Main Street, Iowa and Main Street America are all made up of 4 points: design, economic vitality, promotions, and organization. And each one of those committees has a different role. And this isn't a surprise to me, and I'm sure it's not a surprise to the mayor. We have a really great downtown. It's very vibrant. It's got a nice mix of retail and service and, you know, all those other things, so, because we all know that people will come downtown for all of those things. So it can't be all retail like it once was back in the 70s. All retail was on the main floor, and businesses and the service industries were upstairs. When steam shut off, things changed. And so it's nice to have a nice mix of that. And I think anything that you possibly could need or want, you can find it in downtown Spencer. I want to highlight a few things. We've got a few new businesses in downtown and very few vacancies. Most businesses that call me, entrepreneurs, want to know where they can buy a building because most of them are not set up for retail. They are set up for service, so then a lot of them just want to own the building if they're going to put all that money into renovating. But we do have some new businesses I'd like to highlight. Jaded Beauty opened up yesterday. That is in the old bikes, boards, and blades. It was also an antique place. They opened yesterday, Luke and Justice Cothran. It looks great, so if you happen to be walking by, say hello. They've got all of your salon services available there. CHI, the Community Housing Initiative, moved into where Insurance Associates was. As you probably know, Community Insurances has now joined Community Insurance. Insurance Associates is with Community Insurance, and so they're all housed in Community Insurance. And Average Joe's, we're welcoming Lisa Brown back. She is in just east of Steffen's building. So it's Tim Steffen's Furniture Store. It's that little place right on part of that building on East 5th. Home Instead has joined us at 304 Grand. That used to be BV Custom Flooring. Las Margaritas is now open. That used to be the Grand Tap and Poor Judgment. Eddie Sanchez is open that, and it's great. We were in there on Saturday night after the Soiree en Blanc, and they've got a great dance floor and a DJ. So if you want to, get your dance on, that's a place to go. Delicious margaritas. And then Traditions by Peterson Holistic Services is in the Mauer building. So we've got a lot of great things happening. TFC Photo, the Loft by Prest is open. I want to also tell you that Vermeer Glass Art is a great little gem to have in downtown Spencer. It recently created 13 awards, glass art pieces for the Iowa Rural Development Council. So they're already reaching out through all of Iowa. Iowa Project is now open for happy hour on Wednesdays from 4 to 8. So in order for them to keep doing that, please show up, try one of their, and let me tell you, I am not a beer drinker, but I love their sours. There may be a theme here. I went to Las Margaritas and Iowa Project. I like to support our downtown any way I can. But so they're going to be open now on Wednesdays, and then of course Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And Allstate Insurance is now Breckenridge Insurance Group. So we've just got a lot going on. I also want to tell you that the Clay County Heritage Center is doing a buseum. It's a mobile museum that's talking about all the things that we normally don't talk about, the forbidden, the hidden. I'm talking the flu pandemic, Ku Klux Klan, the Depression-era unemployment, and prohibition. They're going to be set up talking about all of that and how it relates to Iowa on September 2nd at H&N. And then they're going to do a lunch and learn where you can bring your own lunch and learn all about it at the Clay County Heritage on September 2nd. So that's at noon. We have Downtown Restaurant Week coming up September 18th through the 25th. Anytime you eat at any of the participating restaurants in downtown Spencer, you can register to win $20 at that restaurant, a gift card, and then the grand prize winner gets $20 gift cards from all the downtown restaurants. And then Wine Stroll October 7th. So we've got that link on Facebook on SpencerMainStreet.com. Register now. You'll get to go to 10 fabulous places and have a little sip of wine and some snacks. And it's our most popular event, 11th annual.
Wow.
So much going on.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Now, we're going to do a little something Nancy doesn't know about.
Oh, dear.
Whenever I have a guest on, I always like to interview them, and Nancy doesn't know this, but we're going to ask you some pop questions. It'll be easier than the pop quizzes that you had in school, right?
Okay, all right.
So when you were, you're a Spencer graduate
Yes.
From here, when you were looking to come back, what attracted you about the opening at the Main Street company?
Well, so that wasn't even open. When I knew I was coming back to Spencer, I knew Bob Rose, because everybody knows Bob Rose. He's Mr. Spencer, for God's sakes. So, and he had done this job for 24 years. So I had reached out to him initially, but he never got my email because I think the email listed on Facebook was an old one. It wasn't a very active Facebook. So I had reached out to him saying, is there any way I could be your assistant or do anything? So that was always in the back of my mind. But this seemed to fit what I do. I fancy myself a cheerleader, always and forever, too fat to be one in real life. But I love Spencer so much, and having graduated from here, I wanted to be able to cheer on my hometown again.
Well, you do a great job.
Thank you.
5 years in.
Yes.
What has surprised you about what has been accomplished over the last 5 years?
So right when I started, I remember Tim Steffen telling me there's going to be some big openings, and I thought, oh, what? Well, so that surprised me that the White Drug was moving, and that whole section was, and then right after that, the Hallmark closed, and I thought, oh my goodness, that's a big block that's empty. Even though it's two places, that was massive. So 5 years later, those are filled, those are renovated, we're thriving. We have a brewery. We have had so much downtown renovation, and I think that was really spurred on by the meters. By when they bought that building and changed it into Prest, I think it was a catalyst for other people to say, hey, boy, that looks good. Community Insurance redid that whole building that was, the fabric warehouse. Yeah. So the amount of renovation that has happened in 5 years is astonishing to me, and we couldn't do it again without the city backing it, and we've got a retail Kickstarter fund that helped kind of spur people to do that. The partnerships, I love it.
Excellent. What are the common themes that you hear at the statewide meetings when your peer group, so there's 50-some Main Street, Iowa communities.
There's 55.
55. What do they say about Spencer?
Where is that again? Because most of them are in the central portion of the state or right around Des Moines. There's just a cluster in that area. I think a lot of them say they know that we're by Okoboji, and they say, "Oh, I've heard you guys have a lot going on." Well, and because we have conference calls that are on Zoom now, but that started during the pandemic, and so everyone's always like, "Oh, my board this or the city that," and I'm all like, "We're good. Things are happening here," and so because it is. So I think they think we've got a good downtown.
Final question.
Yes.
What do you hear from people who visit here maybe for the first time or visit here and find things maybe a little unexpected before they arrived and when they left? What do you hear in that regard?
North Grand.
North Grand.
It's the most beautiful entrance to our city on that end, and sometimes I hear, oh, you should revamp the south end to kind of match it. But the way it's set up with the boulevard, I think we all take it for granted. I know I do. I forget how gorgeous it is. And when I moved back, I was like, gosh, I don't remember it looking this beautiful. And it is. What a grand way to go into downtown. And I just think they think we're nice. I hope they think we're nice. I hope we're all nice. And North Grand, it's beautiful, and we have a very vibrant downtown. Hardly any vacancies, and a lot of towns can't say that.
Echoes a lot of the things that I hear. So thank you, Nancy, for your commitment to downtown and the city of Spencer and your board, all the time that they put in.
We've got a great, very active board at Ice Cream Social. We had 100% participation with our board. I've never been able to say that. We've got a great working board right now, and I'm excited about that. Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you for all you've done. You have been such a good mayor, and I'm not kissing anything. I tell you that at Rotary all the time. I say it in front of as many people as I can. We have been so fortunate to have your leadership for the last 4 years. I hate to see you step down. I understand it, but you have been such a great mayor and a great ear and a great support. So thanks for all you've done.
Thanks, Nancy. I'll give you the paycheck after we're off air.
No, I mean it.
It takes a village, takes a team, and
Yep.
I'm just a small cog in the wheel, so I appreciate the
You're
comments.
welcome. You've gone way above and beyond.
Yep. And we look forward to the future growth downtown. There'll be buildings come open, and I think there's currently a couple under renovation. And again, we look really forward to the housing study that'll be done downtown. And in 3 to 5 years, we'll see hopefully a whole new batch of renovated properties that are ready to move in. So excellent. Thanks for being here today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
City business, just a couple items wanted to recap. We've had a lot of committee meetings and the council meeting in the last couple of weeks, and so just want to give you some updates in case you missed what we talked about. So we'll start August 16th with our regular council meeting, just a couple highlights. We did a update on the traffic flow by the middle school, been very well publicized. I believe this is a day 3 of that because Tuesday was the first day of school, and so the kinks are getting worked out. People are getting used to it, but just as a reminder, if you happen to be a grandparent or somebody that doesn't normally take kids and it's your first time coming up here in the next couple of weeks, when you enter in to drop off or pick up someone, you'll go one way eastbound on the south side of the school. You'll turn north, you'll either drop off or pick up back there, and then you will turn west to exit. And once you hit 10th, you need to turn right. There is a sign there. The sign does say right turn only. It doesn't say no left turn, but there is no left turn. You can only turn right. So please exit the middle school going northbound. We adopted the airport master plan, so the Public Works Department, the airport board, and the operators out there have been very busy updating that. So just wanted to show you a little bit. So the plan is this thick, and it's available to be viewed online. The quick summary is the consultants who put the plan together see growth opportunities at the airport. It's a healthy regional airport that we have. They see the demand for it to continue to be needed, and not only needed but increase, and so wanted to thank everybody for their time and attention and effort into that. We authorized the payment on 2 rehab properties. So we have a program in our community for low income people who live in residential areas who their property might need some updates and they have a little difficulty paying for those. We do have a program for that. If you think you might qualify or have an interest in that, please contact City Hall. We also put a floodplain management update into our zoning code. So essentially what that means with the new lines for the floodplains, we updated our code so that we can be able to administer and help the citizens on a local basis instead of you having to go through another outside agency. Following the council meeting, we went and toured the aquatic center. And the aquatic center, Mark, 96, 95, 96, is that when it was new? Yeah. So it looks still new from the road. When you drive by and pull in, the buildings still look beautiful. The block work is fantastic, but it is actually at the end of its life expectancy as pools go, per se. So the infrastructure needs some attention, the decking, cement around the pool, the stairs up to the top of the slide, some of the equipment that the kids play on, needs some attention. And so a big decision coming up in our future for the city is going to be how to address that. Do we rehabilitate the pool? Do we, do more than that? And so just wanted to let everyone know that there's been no decisions made on that, but the council and the park board together took a tour led by the park director, Jared Elbert, so that we're all on the same page as we move forward in discussions about what to do. And I would envision our goal at the end of that meeting was that we carry forward with community-wide discussions related to the pool and make sure that we continue to have a safe facility and a modern facility for everybody to use it who would like to use it. Long-term planning committee, a couple highlights from the 17th of August. We discussed the hospital potential project expansion. That was covered in the newspaper and on the radio as well. So if you missed that, the hospital is potentially looking at a update that would move the emergency room from its current location, and where it makes the most sense is to put over 11th on East 11th there. So just like East 12th Street dead ends kind of in an entrance to the hospital, the same thing would occur on 11th. It would dead end into the new emergency room entrance. This is the most affordable option, as well as I think logistically the best option for the hospital. And so we're currently in discussions with that. Just wanted to let you know in case you missed that. Another indicator of a healthy and growing city, the hospital is so critical not only to our community but the region, and the fact that they continue to grow and expand and add on is a sign of a strong economy here. We also talked about the food truck ordinance, which we don't currently have. Do we need one? The future of sidewalk cafes in town. Again, just a quick recap with state highways 71 and 18 going through downtown. There's some logistical challenges to our current ordinance with that, so we talked through that. And then we also talked about the annexation of 60 of the 100 acres that we purchased west of town. 40 of them are still currently in the city. The Public Works Committee meeting on Monday, August 23rd, we talked a little bit about a traffic study that was conducted about flow patterns from downtown through 18th and Grand all the way up to the North Y. Reviewed that and possible suggestions to improvements on that. We also talked about the downtown traffic controls. So as it's, I think anybody who's been downtown knows there's some times that the cycles get a little bit out, or when a train comes through it backs up quite a bit. So we're looking at updating that system and appreciate all the hard work that everybody's putting into that. We have a finance committee meeting upcoming on August 30th. We're going to talk about service group updates. As we've stated previously, Spencer's a little bit of an anomaly in the fact that our hotel motel tax and our local option sales tax, a lot of that money goes back out to organizations in the community. And so we want to make sure that your tax dollars are being spent wisely. And so we've added a little step in the process for a mid-year update from the agencies who we give the money out to. And so you'll see that occur on the 30th, as well as future budgetary discussions. Had the opportunity to meet with Marvin, if I pronounce your last name, I apologize, Musenberger and his wife. I came into my office and they had concerns. You might have seen some advertisements that they've taken out in the shopper and the local newspaper about the potential campground move, and they're concerned about the cost and should we do that project. Had a great hour-long meeting with them, clarified some things, and so I just wanted to clarify for the general public what's going on with that project. As it was been highly covered over the last year or so, we completed a master park plan update. The previous one was about 20 years old, so there's a whole list of things that the consultants who came in, who plan parks and look at parks and match that up to the condition of our current parks and system, as well as the community needs expressed through surveys. What do we need to look at in the next 5, 10, 15 years of updating in our park system? And one of those is our campground. If you recall, I believe it was 3 years ago, so for a stretch of 2 or 3 consecutive summers, the bottom part of the campground was flooded out and couldn't be used. And there was damage to the point where we qualified for some FEMA funding to fix the electrical system in the current campground. The current campground's only wired for 30 amp service. Typically now most campers are 50 amp and have poured pads or gravel pads and or drive-through. Right now we just have grass areas with 30 amp service, and so the discussion at the time was, should we even update the electricity to the bottom part of the campground? And it was decided at that time to go ahead and do that. The debate was of why we wouldn't do it would be we had to replace it with the same service that we currently had in it. So essentially what we did was we updated the electric, but we updated it into 30 amp circuits instead of bringing it all the way up to 50 amp. So the campground discussion has been on the table for a number of years and was rolled into the master park plan suggestion. And so in the plan, the question was asked, well, what if we did an update? Would we renovate the current location, or would we look for a new location? And so just when you plan, you look at all different options, and one of the options would be to move the campground from its current location over by where the schoolhouse was moved in, by the Kiwanis Club, by the aquatic center there. And the plan, you know, has the pads and where it potentially could be and the cost of it. And where we're at in that process is there has been no decision made. Right now it's a discussion point. It's part of a plan that has a lot of potential. And in that plan, there's over $15 million worth of suggested projects. And so these aren't projects we've committed to. These are projects that need either critical attention or, you know, would be nice to have in the community that we don't currently have. And so I'll review those, and I'm reviewing them so that you understand the campground in the context of the bigger picture. So it's not a plan that was developed and the outcome was we need a new campground. The campground is merely a bullet point of many projects that are in the plan. So some of those recommended projects were a splash pad that could cost anywhere in the neighborhood of $1 to $2 million depending on what it was. Aquatic center upgrades, this is not a new pool, this would be upgrades to our current pool, would be $7.1 million. Campground relocation they had at $2.2 million, and these are estimates. Trail improvements, wayfinding signage, $711,000. Building improvements to some of our park buildings, $88,000. Adding restrooms to parks. One of the biggest complaints that we hear is, the porta potties versus actual physical structures of restrooms. That's roughly $150,000. Stolly Park water access, to redo that would be about $250,000. Potential of an ATV bridge. The challenge that we have here, state law prohibits ATVs and golf carts from using the Grand Avenue Bridge. So essentially we're locked between South Town and North Town. And the only way to get across would be to go all the way around town. And so what would an alternative be to that? It would be an ATV bridge. The estimated cost of that would be about $500,000. East Leach Shelter Park improvements, $100,000. The Miracle Playground renovation, which again, if you've lived here a long time, seems like it was yesterday when that was renovated, but it's almost 30 years old or approaching that. $650,000. The Pedersen Park, the baseball complex, to do all the updates, fencing, backstops, sidewalks, new scoreboards is $1.3 million. And Cyril Page Park, doing that, renovating that into more of a pollinator park, which is in process now, is about $40,000 estimated. So again, these are all just wish list items, if you will, with potential dollar amounts assigned to them that as a community we'll go forward and have discussions with. And so I just wanted to clarify for everyone that there have been no discussion or no decisions made on these projects. They are in discussion works. We'll go forward with those discussions. When we get to the point where we actually want to talk about committing dollars towards those projects, we'll re-engage the community. We'll have community-wide discussions, because the capital amount that it takes to invest in these projects is significant, and there's mechanisms that we can use to pay for these projects, but we don't want to do that without having the community conversation first. And so just wanted you all to know that, number one, we've met with the nice couple who's taken the ads out, and I think they're on a better understanding now of exactly where we're at in the project process, and wanted to just update the public. I get a lot of questions about Calvin. Wanted to give you a little Calvin update. Calvin and I still meet about once a week. We get together for lunch in the park. We talk about things. Calvin's trying some different spots out. If you've seen him on it'd be 4th and Grand, not the downtown 4th and Grand, but on East Leach Park 4th and Grand. Calvin's been down there a couple times, and he's talked about a couple different areas as well. And the important thing is that, Calvin's desire to reach people is still met. And the number one question I get, and that Calvin gets when they see him in a different location, is, Calvin, were you forced to go to a different location? And the answer is no. That's Calvin's choice to do what he wants where he wants. And so, if you see him, wave to him, and, wanted to let you know that it wasn't a one and done conversation that Calvin and I had. We continue to have the conversation. And so with that, Karen, have we had any questions pop up during the feed? No questions? All right. So thank you, Nancy, for being here for your August mayor press conference update. And as I end all of them, stay safe and God bless.